Hey guys, it's Sally. Tonight I wanted to talk to you about helicopter parenting. Eh, yeah, that's quite the subject, right? Some of you may be familiar with the term. If you've ever heard of Love and Logic, it's a way to raise your kids as young kids, and then also they have a book and stuff for teens. So it's basically just to kind of raise them up more as a consultant, where you're in a consultant role, where you're giving them choices so they're actually feeling consequences. So I'll get into all of that, but for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sally Harris, and I help moms of defiant adult children. I help them create a plan for their own life, to regain their own life back by using strategies and techniques that I've used in the past 10 years to literally get my own life back while my family and I were on a rough road with my daughter. So I will put a link below to a discovery call where it's a free 30-minute call where I would love to have the opportunity to talk to you about what's going on with your child and how I can help you as a mom. Okay, so helicopter parenting. I'm going to read the description of what that is. It's where the parent revolves their entire lives around their kids. Like a helicopter, they hover and then rescue their kids anytime trouble is near. They protect them from everything, including experiences their kids need that could lead to growth. So basically, hovering over your children and rescuing them from the hostile world in which they live. So how many of you can say that you've ever done some helicopter parenting? I think we probably all have done some. With Love and Logic, there's the helicopter parent, there's the drill sergeant parent, and then there's the consultant parent. And I'm going to go through each one, but tonight I'm going to do the helicopter one. And after reviewing them, and I also, several years ago, when my daughter, it was probably about 9 years ago, when she was 16, I learned about Love and Logic. I wish I had learned about it so many years earlier. So for those of you that still have younger kids or teens, I strongly recommend checking this out. Being a helicopter parent, I think in some ways, I'm going to give you some personal examples of what I did wrong in hopes that you don't do the same. I don't think I was a 100% helicopter parent. I think I did that for a couple of reasons that once I've given it some thought, the reasons why you become a helicopter parent. And the first one is, for me, I'm the youngest of four, and I had a lot of freedom. And I abused that freedom when I was growing up, when I was a teenager. And I was never really watched. I didn't really have a whole lot of accountability. And you and I both know our kids need boundaries, and I really didn't have any. And so I think we crave for them. Our kids crave boundaries, even though that's probably the last thing they'll ever tell you, but they crave that because it's the feeling of that you're being cared for, that someone loves you enough to put those boundaries around you. And I think that's part of why I did some of this, is I felt, because I wasn't really watched, I had to put a closer eye on my kids. So sometimes we do the opposite of what we grew up with. Sometimes we don't. But that's just my personal story. And then also I think another reason is I had gone through a divorce. And so I was feeling bad for the girls that they didn't have their, when they were younger, when they didn't have their family intact. And so I think the mom guilt of that, even though it was for the best in a great situation, not a great situation, I think it was just one of those things where you feel like you love them more if you pay attention more, if you rescue them more, those kinds of things. And I know there's a lot of moms that feel that way, and there's also a lot of moms that won't admit it. And so I'm just here to tell you that you're not alone. So the helicopter parent, so I'm going to tell you how it affects your kids. And so I'm just going to read this because this is written so beautifully. But the helicoptered kid may appear to get certain advantages based on everything they received and were protected by their parents. But when they become adults, the covering is removed and they are unprepared to face these challenges themselves. Helicoptered kids will lack the character that is developed through struggle and perseverance. And I'm sure you've heard it before said that we should try to give our kids let them feel the consequences of their actions while they're still under your roof. So when they do go out to college or, move out on their own, that when real life things happen, they have the skills to, to deal with the consequences. And they're not going to be as hard as, maybe what it would have been at a younger age. And they're still in your home, so you have the ability to help them through different situations, letting them make their own choices, but helping them through the aftermath of the consequences. Okay, so some of the other, just the tidbits on the helicopter parent is it's providing messages of weakness and low personal worth, which I had never thought of it like that before. Basically, in a way, we're teaching our kids that they have, it's a message of weakness, like we're not giving them the strength to make their own choices. Another one is making excuses for the child, but complains about mishandled responsibilities. Some parents will be the helicopter mom or dad, and then they will, make excuses. So whether it's calling in even your adult child into work because they're not going, or school when they're really not sick, that kind of thing. But then complain later to the child about how you had to deal with, that situation for them. Another one is some moms take on the responsibility of the child. So like we've talked about many times, going back to the boundaries and not enabling, well, these moms take on the responsibility. So a lot of times I think the helicopter parent was a parent that way in the child's teen years, and as the child has maybe taken a bad path, the mom is still on that path and still parenting that same way, and it's just a vicious cycle. So when you're making decisions for your child, providing no structure, that's a good clue that you're being a helicopter parent. So I hope that helps. It's definitely not the type of parent that I would be now. And now that I have a granddaughter, I can see myself being so opposite of that and giving her so many choices and letting her make decisions. It doesn't matter how small, like start when they're young and let them make those decisions. Obviously, they're still your responsibility. You have to make some of those choices, but we'll get into the consultant parent and the drill sergeant parent in the next couple days. But I just wanted to share that with you. I think it's really good information. And again, it's called Love and Logic. So if you want to Google that, they have parenting classes, they have books, DVDs, all of the above. So I'm sure that would be great information. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you soon.